Okay. I want to call the Hopkinton Town Council meeting of December 18, 2017 to order with a moment of silent meditation and salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first up, the consent agenda. Approved Town Council meeting minutes of December 4th, 2017. Executive session minutes of December 4th, 2017. Town Council meeting minutes of November 20th, 2017. Set February 20th, 2018 as the second Town Council meeting in February due to President's Day holiday. Accept the following monthly financial activity report. Town Clerk, approved refunds resulting from the motor vehicle phase-out program submitted by the tax collector.
Could we please approve the meeting minutes of December 4th?
Yep, yeah, I gotta pull that too.
Move that we approve the consent agenda minus the executive session minutes of December, oh, it was council meeting.
Town
Council meeting minutes of December 4th.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, what page, Bob?
No pages at all. I was simply not there, so I need to abstain.
Okay.
Okay.
I just had a quick comment, maybe Lisa would know, on page 4. It mentioned the motion was made on page 4 of December 4th minutes, after the first paragraph.
Oh, yeah, there was nobody.
Should we mimic the Councilor Thompson and seconded by David
Sure.
on that?
Sure, you can,
Right, is
you
it-
can do
it wasn't-
that.
it wasn't
A
mentioned.
lot of times what happens is if there's some sort of discussion, but I can certainly.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I just was pointing out, it just.
Sure. That in there?
And that was all I had, so.
So a motion to approve Town Council meeting minutes of December 4th?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
You're abstaining, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Rob,
Abstain.
excuse me.
And I abstain.
Okay, first public forum, anyone out there? Okay. So, Gary, Town Manager report.
Thank you. The Woody Hill Road South Bridge, during the last 2 weeks, I worked with DOT and DEM and Hopkinton DPW officials on the Woody Hill Road South Bridge. The Department of Transportation had recently classified the bridge as being in critical status. And consistent with their recommendation, local DPW placed several plastic traffic barriers on the west side of the bridge to significantly reduce or eliminate the weight on the rotted beams on that bridge. In speaking with DEM, they were very good to deal with. They own the bridge, the dam, and the spillway, which is very fortunate for us because it would be a very expensive job. And Rhode Island DOT has also informed us that according to their records, DEM also owns the bridge. So we forwarded correspondence to DEM Director Janet Coit requesting that she expedite the replacement of the bridge, which incidentally is on the town's #1 priority project on the DOT Rhode Island Planning 2018-27 10-year step plan that we submitted to State Planning Division. So we'll see what that brings. Lastly, during December, my office began the process of developing the town's fiscal year 2019 annual and fiscal year 2020-22 multi-year goals in preparation of the upcoming budgetary process. The department heads are required to submit their respective goals by December 20th, and the goals will be discussed and tentatively selected at their January 4th, 2018 department head staff meeting. And then the final goals will be forwarded to the town council for review and possible adoption at that time.
Okay, thanks. Bill, any questions for Bill?
Bill, give me an idea when the bridge is going to be done or finished? A ballpark idea, at least next spring, next summer, something like that?
We have no idea. That's a timetable that's decided by the state of Rhode Island.
Yeah. I haven't been by the bridge, I know the bridge you're talking about, certainly. Is that bridge open wide enough to get a fire truck through or an ambulance through? I mean, you said they put barriers out there.
Yes, I know we notified the school department, and they said that their school buses have not used that bridge, that portion of the road for the last 10 years.
Roughly, yes.
Yes. The fire department was also notified,
Okay.
as was the police department.
Good, okay, yep.
Okay, thank you, Phil. First item on old business, registration and maintenance of vacant and/or abandoned property ordinance. Render a decision on proposed ordinance identified as registration and maintenance of vacant and/or abandoned property, introduced and sponsored by Councilor Calvo, heard on December 4th, 2017. The purpose of this ordinance is to protect residential, commercial, manufacturing, industrial, and mixed-use real property in the town of Hopkinton from being blighted as a result of inadequate maintenance and lack of security at vacant and/or abandoned properties, and to strengthen the town's ability to respond to nuisance and/or hazardous properties to protect the health, safety, and welfare of residents. In addition, the town intends this ordinance will hold accountable all owners and other individuals and entities with an ownership interest in and with control of each individual parcel of vacant or abandoned property, real property, for failing to comply with its mandates. The draft ordinance includes the following sections: definitions, vacant and abandoned property database, registration of requirements, enforcement actions, removal from the vacant and abandoned property database. There is also a notification of vacant and/or abandoned property registration form and a notification of vacant and/or abandoned property local agent form. This ordinance shall take effect immediately upon passage and council deliberations. Yes, Linda?
At the hearing, it was sponsored by you.
Yes.
So is that, did somebody find out that you can't as president?
Oh, no. I'm usually the default sponsor.
Yeah, well, why are you still the sponsor?
Well, that's a good question. Well, I subsequently found out that Barbara sent some information to Kevin McAllister that helped in crafting this ordinance.
So you should both be sponsoring.
Oh, yeah, well, it doesn't matter to me.
Well, I know, I had to ask, was there?
Oh, yeah, no, I was
I
gonna
just
say.
want to make a point.
Right.
At the hearing, you were,
Yeah, we had started this about over a year ago. It was when the first property damage was at 5 Lynn Lane. And so that was over about a year and a half ago. And I talked to Sherry Disardi, and we started to pull together all of the information about these foreclosed and abandoned property ordinances and got them over to Kevin. Because I really appreciated all of her work and Kevin's work and Bill McGarry's, and especially for Bill McGarry, he has worked actively, stubbornly, with incredible perseverance to get the work done on each property, which has been extremely difficult. He has done an absolutely great job. It wasn't easy, and it is greatly appreciated by all of the citizens in Bethel Village. We really have appreciated it. But I'm very glad to see it. I read the minutes, the meeting minutes of last week, and really appreciated the work of the council. It's really important. It'll be important for all of the different communities because that's how your house looks when you're trying to sell it. You want to make sure that your entire neighborhood looks good. And these are the abandoned properties. If someone's living there, obviously they're not abandoned. But I thought it was very well done and I appreciated it. But I'd been ill, so I hadn't been in touch with Frank until after.
So I learned of the information sent to Kevin unbeknownst to me, so.
Yep.
So Barbara called me in between, so.
okay.
So that was that.
Anyway, I really do appreciate it, and I think the discussion last week was very nice. Thank you all very much.
A lot of drafts, huh, Bill? 12? A baker's dozen, was it? Yeah. Do you have any other concerns, questions, I guess, on this particular ordinance?
No, I'd like to comment and say this, that this is something this town's needed. All towns should have this. I can't believe some of the inner city properties look like they look if the city has, or the communities have this kind of ordinance. This ordinance does not impose a heavy hand on properties just because a person needs his house painted or there's something about the property people don't like, there's a dead tree on the property. We're not telling people how to run their property. This is not like Newport that tells you what color paint you have to put in your house. This is not that kind of ordinance. It's an ordinance just to keep the properties up, maintain the properties in a proper and what's what we're looking for? You know, healthy way. We don't want rats, we don't want garbage piling up, and just, it's a really good ordinance for this town.
It has to be vacant property for 45 days.
That's right.
Just make that clear.
That's another thing too, you know? Yeah.
No one living there.
So we're not telling people how to paint their house, but, you know, or fix or cut down trees, no.
Yeah, the problem's when it's vacant and the town can't even find the owner, and who's responsible,
Yeah.
which bank is it, you know, so it gets complicated.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that the Hopkinton Town Council adopt the newly proposed registration and maintenance of vacant and/or abandoned properties and trees.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Isn't that awful? We have ordinances, there are no changes,
Yeah.
you know?
Thank you, Frank, thank you.
Well, there's many changes.
Oh, well, prior to.
Before I got in.
Appreciate what you've done. And Bill, thank you, Bill.
New business, discuss and consider setting a hearing date for a zoning ordinance amendment and comp plan map amendment filed by Park Square Partners, MEO Holdings LLC. Yes?
Should be Oak Square Flowers.
Oak Square.
Yeah, it is Oak on everything else that we're on your agenda.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I stand corrected. Mr. Camoli?
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council, Attorney George Camoli with offices at 15 Franklin Street. I have the pleasure of representing Oak Square Partners. They're requesting that you order to advertisement a rezone petition property of M&L Holdings LLC, which has rather a clouded history before this town. I have requested of my previous clients, Bethel Village Neighbors Association, the church, Mr. Quinlan and others, to waive their conflict, all of which they have done. I do not represent M&L, I only represent Oak Square. Property is currently zoned RFR 80, is a pre-existing legal non-conforming use as a gravel pit. We're proposing the rezone of the 6.6711 acre property from RFR 80 to commercial. As your solicitor will tell you, when you consider a rezone, it's usually limited to that particular property, but you have the right to condition, i.e. for a particular use. We're proposing to put there a 997 kilowatt solar facility on 3.73 acres. The particular applicant, Oak Square, has already received National Grid approval for this particular site. Before we can proceed, though, your zoning application requires submission, and we need several waivers. One which would be a soil erosion plan, because we're not requiring any change in the topography, we're just putting a solar array there. There's also a request for a septic. We're not going to have any people at the site. There is no septic requirement. There is no wellhead requested because there is no use, and we would suggest to you no traffic report. With those waivers, I believe the application is in order to proceed, and if you so incline, forward it to the planning board for referral and to town council for an actual public hearing.
Okay, Lisa, when do you think we can,
Because it's a zoning ordinance amendment, it requires 3 weeks of advertising. That brings you past your January 2nd date, and so the earliest you could hear it would be January 16th.
okay,
After that would be February 5th,
January 16th?
unless
sounds
you
good.
want a special.
Okay.
More than acceptable. I believe you also have to refer to the planning board, and their meeting is January 3rd.
Okay. Yes?
What's happening in January 3rd?
Planning board, they have to give you a referral to show it's consistent with the comprehensive plan and give you a recommendation.
I've sent that out to them.
Yes, Bob?
I just have a couple of questions, George.
Yes.
Because I'm part of the Bethel Water Association, I'll probably have to recuse myself from the zoning change. However, my question is, if we're going to a commercial zone, we will be making it exclusively a solar array.
I defer to your solicitor, but under the Zoning Enable Act, when you rezone a property, you can put specific conditions on it.
Right, because I don't really want it to go to commercial unless it's a solar array. And my understanding is once it becomes solar array, it is no longer a gravel bank.
I once again defer to your solicitor, but to abandon a pre-existing non-conforming use, you have to do so intentionally and objectively, i.e. you have to say I abandon it and use it for another purpose,
And that is what will occur.
most definitely.
I think we did that with Hope Valley. Did we do that with Hope Valley?
Yeah.
We limited that to solar.
Right, I just wanted to confirm that.
Yes, Sylvia?
I just want to pass along to, if you would pass along to the owners, thank you very much. I mean, this was, when I saw this, that this was happening, it was a great Christmas present for that neighborhood. It really, we all know it solves a lot of problems, and now it's going to be completely different, and the owner will still have a revenue. He can enjoy a property in our town and not have everybody mad at him. So, I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be wonderful.
I hope you have that same opinion on January 16th.
I hope so. I think everybody knows it's going to be a worthwhile project.
All right, so 16th of January it is.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, George. Happy holidays. Last item on the new business, discuss and consider setting January 16, 2018 as a hearing date for the update on the comprehensive plan.
Does anybody have information?
Yeah, Jim, okay.
I talked to Jim this morning and I asked him about this, and he said setting the date for January 16th was fine with his office.
Yeah, I think he got word back from statewide planning and he had approved it, like temporarily or
Yeah.
tentatively, or whatever it's, I forget the term he used, but he said, yeah, you guys will be good to go.
Yeah, I think that if the council approves it and it goes up to statewide planning and they don't make any changes, then we're all set. If they do make any changes, we'll have to come back to the town council.
What exactly is happening here?
You're going to get
Or will
an
happen?
explanation of what the changes and the updates are. I believe in your offering packet is coming.
And this is because the planning board, has been working on this over the years. Okay, so this is also an opportunity for any mistakes, I believe. If there's a mistake, to point that out.
That's a planner question, I don't
Well,
have the answer.
I talked to Jim briefly
I only know
last
one
week,
mistake.
and his opinion is to try and approve it as printed, because that's what went to statewide planning. So if we don't approve it as how it went to statewide planning, then it's going to come back to us and it's going to delay that approval. So it further delays the zoning board working on the rewrite.
Yeah, and it's not even
So-
a comprehensive plan, it's actually a map. It's just a mistake on some
Oh,
property,
okay.
they gave a wrong
Yeah.
designation. That's
So,
all.
okay.
So it's the map, and
Yeah.
we're dealing with the plan, I believe, I'm making the
Yeah,
map.
yeah.
Kevin, yes?
Mr. President, I don't know what lot it is, but I'm aware of another error in the
Okay.
zoning map. It was my suggestion, and I don't know if it's the same one Councilor Thompson's referring to, but I think the same thing would apply. It was my thought and the planner's thought that it would be better to approve what has been approved by the state and then bring the changes to the
Changes.
newly
Right
approved map
Yeah, right
after that.
So you can make up to 5 changes.
It's nice, and I have one just like it.
It's probably the same
It might be the same one, but in fact, I was drafting ordinance for after that today in my office, so
Okay.
that's well on the tracks. But and I know that would be the best way because it would get it all done
Makes-
quickly,
right,
and
right.
then that's just like a cleanup after.
Good, okay, fine with that.
Yeah, Jim thought it would be best. Oh, please don't make any changes. So, well, he said he could change it 4 or 5 times after that, so I thought that would be enough opportunity to make any amendments we needed to, so.
Is he a busy January 16th?
Yeah. I guess, do we need a motion for that, Lisa, to set the
No.
date?
That's just consensus.
Okay, that sounds good. Last public forum, Scott?
Scott Bill Harris, 20 Maple Quad Ashway. I want to extend season greetings and happy holidays to the Hopkinton Town Council. A couple of things. Number one, since the January session of the General Assembly is just a few weeks away, I would hope that the council do schedule some meetings with the members from the legislature from Hopkinton to see what's going on in the legislature and any bills that we should plan for, or any ideas. It's good to get on the ground floor at the beginning of the session. Number two, I would say that I'm a little disappointed reading what I do know about the session about the thing at Charahoe about going after our president. I happen to be the chairman of the Republican Party in this town. Since President Trump is a Republican president, although president of all the people, I don't agree with everything he says. I certainly wouldn't have his style, although I certainly would want to serve as a Republican if I were the president. But that being said, I'm really concerned about supposedly something like that being used in an English class, as I understand it was. I don't know why it would be brought in an English class, but I think we toss these titles about people around, whether they're liberals or Democrats or conservatives or Republicans or any group of people, and we're too free with words. And I think the media has a lot to answer for that. I think academia has a lot to answer for that, maybe other groups. But I would hope that in the future that all points of view are presented and let students draw their own conclusions. And both perspectives should be presented. And I believe, and I certainly, the leader of the Republican Party in this region, would be willing to talk to Charahoe and give them my perspective based on my knowledge of history of this town and my long involvement with the Republican Party. And lastly, I'd like to say, one of my biggest disappointments about the Charahoe School District is we used to have omnibus meetings where we could talk about multiple topics. And now it's come down to just the budget. I don't know if it's changed, but I'm a little disappointed in that. Frankly, the way the open meetings law works, you can't have a majority of an elected board talking to anybody. So those omnibus meetings are a sounding board for people to discuss among themselves, the leaders of the district, what's on their mind, where they like the district to go, and it should be just a forum for the budget of the school district. And I really don't think that is good for all concerned. I don't think it's good for the school committee, I don't think it's good for the town councils and the public at large. So when you do talk to the Charahoe School District in the future, try to make sure that omnibus meetings discuss topics that on a lot of people's minds, and I think it would serve the school district better, and I think the individual towns better. And with that, once again, season's greetings, happy holidays, and this is last year here from Scottville Hearst in 2017, but I'll be back in 2018. Happy New Year too. Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas, Scott.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, have a wonderful Kwanzaa, and good luck on your Ramadan. I hope it goes well. Yeah, Kwanzaa, Ramadan, Hanukkah, and Christmas.
I found one that works for everyone. Enjoy the season.
Enjoy the season.
All inclusive.
All inclusive.
Anyone else for public forum?
A motion to
There you go. Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council, Michael Curie, 229 Ashford Road. First of all, I'd like to pass on season's greetings, and whichever works for you works for me. So in my book, it's Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Just want to say, thank the councils that came out for the DOT environmental assessment. You know, it's kind of hoping we could have a little bit better turnout from the town, but yes, as Pat Morgan had said, you know, it's kind of a little while the ways, and plus it was the Monday or the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, so that kind of adds a little bit. But please don't think in the back of your mind the tolls are going to go away. Somewhere down the road you're going to see this. As I'll say, I concur with Bill Scott Hurst about things at Charahoe. Politics should never take place in school. You know, if you cut it right down the middle, some things we should see, some things kids shouldn't see. And my flip to it is, if you have to bleep it out on talk radio or video or wherever you may be, it probably is not the best idea to have in school. On that, had a great year, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Okay, anyone else in public forum? Okay.
Mike,
Ma'am.
just so you'll be aware that the turnout was affected by the fact that the letter that went out to people about the DOT meeting
Yeah.
said it was in the middle school auditorium. And
Oh, I
then-
know, I was there with you.
Oh, okay, so, and when everybody moved to wherever they told you to go,
There's a line.
there was nobody there to say, where is the meeting? There was nobody there to direct them, so I wouldn't be surprised if we lost folks, because they
Well,
didn't
could
know
be
where to go.
too, don't forget the, media, the news hounds, excuse me for it.
But I think it would have
They
been
just
better
kind of just
attended.
jumped on everybody right away, and that, this tends to scare people away. So you look at, but, like I said, don't think these tolls are gonna go away, but no single thing is, but, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good. Okay, no one else for public forum? Okay.
Motion to adjourn, and Happy New Year to everyone, and all
Merry
the
Christmas,
great holidays.
everyone.
Merry
Yeah,
Christmas.
this was happy.
And that's-
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.